All right, in another Shop Dog Pontiac video, what have we got going on here?
We got a bunch of things going on today. Let's start with some rear lights. So we've been fussing for a while to get the right light in the...
Well, that's the Buick light. That's my favorite. I love these lights.
Yeah, we like this light a lot. I bought a pair of them. These are, what we want to do is light up the back well so that we've got some light back there. The problem that we've got is the swing of the access panel will actually hit this, even though this is only about
just barely
half an inch or something. It just doesn't work. So these won't work. Next thing we tried, these are factory backup lights for the Catalina. They're pretty thin, but when you look at them, they're really deep. That's not going to work either. So I have a really nice set of brand new backup lights. I just found these. These are remanufactured. These are dome lights, and I suspect that they used them back in the well in the back of the wagon as well. You can see it's actually pretty short. It's shorter than this here by just a little bit, and it's recessed a little bit.
Well, and the curve.
Yeah. So I bought a pair of these. Interestingly enough, I ordered these a long time ago. Couldn't find them forever. Ordered a set. They went on back order. I called Ames Performance, these folks here, because they've got Pontiac parts. Called him the other day, and I said, hey, so how are we doing on those? And he checked, and he said, we just got 4 of them in, and 2 of them are going to you. So we have 2 of the 4 in the country for that particular part. The other thing that we're going to work on today, I managed to find a factory grab bar, and this one is in really good shape. On the Bonnevilles, there were holes drilled here and here. You can see where they're meant to be drilled here, right, and on the other side. And based on looking at this, the distance here between these 2 nuts is narrower than this, so it's made to go in one way or another. But ultimately, if this is correct, it will probably go right there.
That is how.
Yeah. So that'll be a nice addition to the dash. The other thing that we're working on, I ordered up one of these Moto 4s from Retro. We put these in a bunch of cars. Like them a lot for a couple of reasons. One, they're really modular. This is actually the radio here. You pick the faceplate that fits your application, and in this case, this one will go right here, and it'll do an okay job of hiding the hack job that was done.
That's what they did. What do you do?
But the nice thing is you pick the faceplate that you want. You can get it in chrome, you can get it in black, you can get it in combinations, and then this unit actually plugs straight into the stereo here with this cable right here, so that this unit, while it will bolt together, you could get a longer cable and mount this someplace else while this sits in your dash. And then with that, the other thing that's kind of cool is how they have and how they account for different cars with different spaces. Let's see if I can find it. There they are. These are the radio knobs.
Yeah, the shaft knobs.
Yeah, the shaft knobs just literally plug in on the side, and then these can be placed wherever you want. So if you had one of the Mopars where they stacked on top of each other, you can do that. You can space it for whatever width you've got, because not all cars follow the same dimensions there. So that's why I like these radios a lot. I got this one specifically. It's got subwoofer out. It's got a couple of other nicer features, Bluetooth, etc. So this will be really nice in the car. And like I said, I put this in all the other Camaros. They work real well. The other thing that we're going to work on today, also from the folks at Retro, they have these speaker pods. And I haven't been able to find anything that was like this. And these are made for anywhere from 5 1/4 to 6.5 inch speakers. These will go somewhere, I think on the door, because the door panels have big gigantic holes in them. This is a set of Alpine speakers that I really like. I've had these for a couple of years and have used them, and cut the hole, got this mounted yesterday, and then put it up against the door panel, which we had at the house, and realized a couple of things. Number one, this is really, really thick, and the handle to roll down the window is right here. So we might have to relocate this, but I want to see where this sits in relationship to the front seat and see how far we can move it back. So we're going to play with this a little bit today as well. We're also going to work on the front console, work on some mock-ups for that, and I'm sure I've got 2 or 3 other things we're going to work on today.
All right, and Shop Dog's already overwhelmed. Okay, I figured I better show you guys what we're doing. We're really concerned about clearing this, so this is the point right here. So if we take that, and here, let me hold you this way. As he brings it up, okay, you can see we get, it's pretty snug. you know, from the face to that plastic. But what we think we could do, because there's so much room back there, if we had to, this is a piece of steel under here, we could lay a ring here, you know, maybe one of our ball joint rings here, and sink that in 1/16 of an inch. Plus, this will lip in a little bit when it gets tightened in, and it's going to clear by very little, but it's going to clear. And anything we can do on one side, we obviously can do on that side, because that side's wide open. We're just going to have to make a nice breakaway harness for it. So, I think that's our solution. All right, Shop Dog, let me tell the people what's going on. Okay, because of the size of these lights and the weird shape, this was obviously punched in something and then screws coming around. So we've got to cut a pretty big hole. Well, you got to be careful with this vinyl that it doesn't catch. So once we knew our location, you know, which you can see here, we drilled that hole right through that tab, because we did decide to come up to where the factory one would have been. So we're getting ready to take a hole saw and come down. So we, you know, drew on there, took a new X-Acto blade, excuse me, and cut that out. Now you still got to be careful. It's going to grab these little stringy things from the back of the pad. I've got a chunk of wood under here, and then we're just going to set this, and notice, never make these too tight. You don't want them to buckle. You want to let them do their thing. And we're actually going to start in reverse. We're actually going to go backwards at first, and that should help cut a little groove in it, because hole saw is very aggressive. So if I place this on here, go backwards, you can see, one, before I do that, let me increase my pilot flow a little bit. I've got it digging a big hole here. So, okay. Now I'm piloted into our 2x4. So I should be able to place this. It will do a minimal amount of turning. Now I'm still going backwards. Okay. This being able to see is terrible. Okay. Nice and slow. Okay. So you can see by going backwards, once I was in there, you can see it's marking the location. So now I should be able to nice and slow just let her eat. Okay, it feels like we're getting close. So you can see as it's eating, these chew the metal up. These are basically little saws chewing. So you can see this giant path. So never use these expecting a finished clean hole. These always make a giant mess. Okay, and you felt it go free. Sometimes it'll stick with it, sometimes it won't. It's really hot. You don't want to grab it. Just let that cool down. But see, that's how we did that without tearing the vinyl. Having that pre-cut, having all that stuffed out, that's how we keep from tearing up that vinyl. Okay, I have knocked all that edge off so I don't cut anything or destroy anything. Now, the next thing we've got to do is there's some screw holes for mounting this. Here, let me move you ever so quietly and gently. So, as this comes through, right here, and hopefully you can see that, the two holes poke up. Well, there's nothing to screw them into. And we could put a little tiny piece of metal here or something. But what we want to do is we're going to take this real thin metal that we recycled off a pallet.
Metal or wood?
Or this wood. We're going to cut a little horseshoe, slide it on there, and then drill some little wood screws into it to hold the lights. That should last a very long time. So I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. Oh, look at you being all playboy in there. Okay, now ignore that screw. It's not the right screw. It's just holding. We're just doing a quick measurement with that. And here is how close we are. It is so close. Some people would live with that. We're going to actually take this panel and we are going to dimple it. We thought we might, and it turns out we are. It's time to explain what I hope just happened. I made, we didn't have exactly what I want, but because this is curved, there was only so much I could do, but I made a type of dimple die out of a few things. And if you look, you can see that that bottom edge is now more recessed, and even with the top. So now we're going to try it, see if that's enough to clear. I don't want to do any more work on this metal than I have to. So I took an old idler pulley and one of my McPherson strut clamps as the thread rod. Took a receiver cup from a ball joint press and just went to town. Pulled it in very lightly, didn't go crazy, and it did dimple that in probably a good 1/8 of an inch. And I think that's going to give us the room. I will let you know in a minute. All right, let's see. Oh, it clears. It worked. That did the job.
There we go.
Pretty happy about that. You can see now we're easily an 1/8 of an inch away from the lens. But you can see what the dimple die did. So now this is more flat with the world, or more plumb, I guess would be the right word. And now we clear. We got something on there. There we go. Look how nice that's going to look. Oh, that'll be so nice. Now I just got to find the right connector for the other side. How hard can that be? Okay, so he is working on the retainer for this side. I'm pretty sure we're going to have to dimple this one as well. But Pixie just let me know that now they've got to relax. It's a newer material, so these wrinkles will come out. But she's got the back seat here. And it's just relaxing right now, puffing up just like the other seats, which are, of course in baggies because we don't want them all dirty. But she's got all the little buttons in there, which is a real pain in the butt. So, any problems with this one?
Nope, I just tightened a few of the springs that had popped loose, put them back where they're supposed to be, and started putting it on.
Well, yeah. I think once this fills out, this is going to look really nice. Alright, now that we've got the one for the spare tire cover on, this lens isn't sitting in here perfect, but he can monkey with that in a minute. You can see we've got, I don't know, about 100 miles. Might as well be, you might as well park 3 cars in there. That's got to be over 1/2 an inch. So, yeah, we're going to have plenty of room. No problems.
All right, coming back to speakers. Last year we were looking at the hole that the previous owner put in these door panels. And they're huge. They're gigantic holes. And they had...
well, here, I can show them what they had.
Yeah, there's one right there. And it was kind of this homemade wood spacer, and it really wasn't all that nice. And it was sad that he cut through the nice, fairly decent door panels. So I started to rough out if we were going to do something, maybe this is how we would do it. And we started thinking about how do we actually get these speakers set in a pod that doesn't look like, Johnny Rocket stuff. And I found these pods. They come in from Retro. And after working with these and playing with the depth and measuring how much room we have in the car, and also...
Whoa! And wind.
Ghosts. And also worried about where this is going to be in relationship to this pod. I think what we're going to end up doing is we're going to cut this down, and if you'll notice as well, they're angled a bit. Cut this down so we've got about 1 inch. That's about all I need. Figure out how to get this set up so we can actually screw back onto the base. Because when I put the speaker in, the speaker is about 1/4 of an inch deeper than this pod itself. And that can go into the door about 1 inch, 1.5 inches. So I think if we cut this down, it's a little over 2 inches here. It's 3 here. I think we'll have plenty of room. So now the trick is going to be how we get this cut nice and straight. We're going to cover this in vinyl, but not have it all ragged and have it all different angles.
And still getting room. Although you can always go to a shorter cranky. That also has problems.
You know, and I'll tell you, as I've noodled over this, let me put this up here how it's going to be, because it's going to be right around here. If we cut this down quite a bit, I lose easily a ½ inch between here, and you look at where it's out here. That's easily ½ inch that I gain by cutting that and setting it farther down in the door panel. And that gives me just, you know, another ½ inch right here on spin on the door handle. Because these here, these are small little ones. You could put them there, but
they're a nightmare to crank the window.
Yeah, they're tiny. So
you lose that mechanical advantage.
So that's where we sit with this. I think we're going to end up using a really scary router table to cut these things, but the bit that I've got,
the crap out of me.
The bit that I've got for it is at home, and I don't even know if it's going to work because this got to come up quite a ways in order to get it to where it needs to be. So we'll see. We'll play with this.
There's a solution.
There's a solution. Yeah, and it's all about getting a nice straight cut without it being ragged. So that's door panel.
Without even going to Alaska.
Without even going to Alaska, Glenn.
Hey, Pix, you better say hi.
Hi, Glenn.
See? It's not too bad here in Minnesota.
We miss you.
Okay, so I had that off and pull it out, just correcting over the years of people pulling, this gap had opened up because the spring busted. Or not busted, but it got bent. So I've been slowly massaging that back because it feels like spring steel, and I'm very, very cautious. And he is getting ready to make unreversible holes in this nice Catalina dash. So, we're both feeling a little nervous today. It's good for us.
So we are curious about what these holes were in the Bonneville dash about a few weeks ago. Turns out this is a grab bar. The Bonnevilles had it, and I was able to find one on eBay, and so it showed up, and we decided that we'd drill the holes and get this grab bar put in. So this is a factory grab bar, came standard on the Bonnevilles in the 2+2s. Interestingly enough, the dash, they all used the same pot metal dash, and they already had little scutcheons for them, so we drilled those out and put them in.
Which was terrifying.
Yeah, you know, when you're drilling through a dash, especially on something that you're going to see all the time, you want to make sure it turns out, you know, perfect, and it certainly has. So this was a really nice used grab bar out of a 66. And
in an acceptable color.
Yeah, and it was in black. It wasn't in any other goofy color, because it could have been red, could have been blue. Right color, and it just kind of gives that dash a little extra. So that's one more thing done.
Yeah, I still can't get over how nicely this actually cleaned up, because you can't get this.
You can't get that. Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
That cleaned up really nice.
Spend time today working through all of these knobs with the stereo and all of that. That'll look really nice as well. And there's really not much more to do with this dash.
Oh, gotta get your wires back on it, since we're gonna have to use it for a while.
That'll be next. All right, close up for today. Got a lot of little things done. We talked about the grab bar. We got the wiring back onto the dash here. That's all on.
Of course, now we have an extra light bulb because this pod changed.
Yeah, we changed up pods. We have an extra light. We're just gonna leave. Stereo speakers in the doors. We figured out where we're gonna land with that. We got to cut all that down a little bit, but we're gonna need a tool to do it in a way that is actually neat.
Yeah, because it will be something noticeable.
Yeah, you'll be able to see it. Lights got put in the back. Is there anything else we got done today?
I don't know, those lights in the back were a lot.
I know, I was going to say.
That was a lot to get done.
It was a lot of fiddly stuff. So, there you go. That's what we got done for this week.
So that's this week's closeout.
Thanks for watching.